Is spanking your children a sin? That was the short, but oh so important question a parent recently asked me. And I'm not sure if you know the pendulum swing in parenting, where before physical, corporal punishment was so commonplace. In fact, it didn't even have to be your kid a few generations ago. You could swat any kid that you thought was misbehaving on the backside. But now things are very different. We see trends with gentle parenting, with not telling children no, with definitely not doing anything physical. We don't want to scar them. We don't want to turn their hearts against us. So what should a Bible-believing Christian think? What do the scriptures say about parenting? Is spanking, is taking some physical action to discipline a child a sin, or is it not? Before I open my Bible and share some of its answers with you, I want to share just a few experiences that I've had. I'm the father of two now teenage daughters. And when those girls were little, Brooklyn and I were 15 months apart, little Brooklyn, our firstborn, had a spirit where if I just looked at her, she would break down in remorse. She had such a tender spirit that if I kind of worked on that one eyebrow raise, like the wrestler The Rock, and if I would just get serious and look at her and say, Brooklyn, she would melt in remorse. She wouldn't stamp her feet or cross her arms. She was just a tender-hearted kid. And I thought, oh, this parenting thing, it's kind of easy. Oh, and I would come back to eat those words. Because my second born, our precious Maya, came, and she was spirited and she was wonderful. And it's shocking to me now because she has the most empathetic, compassionate, sincere conscience of almost anyone that I know. But in those early days, she was so unbelievably stubborn. She would punch and kick. She would bite her sister, and I'd do the eyebrow raise, and she would just look back at me like it was nothing. We would set her on the naughty step. I think it was the second stair of the carpeted stair. Like her little butt was imprinted in that step. We tried to be patient. We tried to use our words. And that kid was like a hardened convict. She would not listen to us. But I'll tell you this. After a lot of patient parenting, there were a few moments when I turned to spanking. And I didn't do it in uncontrolled anger or rage. And I found out very quickly that she feared it. That it was the one thing that could break that spirit and sometimes help her to realize the seriousness of the sins that she was committing. We didn't do it often. It was normally me and not my wife. It was a rare occasion, but I saw the effectiveness of that moment. And then I have this voice in the back of my head of a good friend who works at a national level here in the United States with victims of child abuse. And he has seen in so many instances how actually religious parents have used certain Bible passages to let loose their uncontrolled rage. That they have not disciplined their kids, they have abused them, and they've covered up their abuse with a passage like the one from the Proverbs, spare the rod and spoil the child. And they ignore all the other passages about gentleness, about not exasperating your children, about being patient, about not giving in to your anger and to your rage. It is a really difficult biblical debate because some people, sadly, bear scars, and those scars somehow have God's name attached to them. Someone was the victim of abuse, and their parents would say, well, I was just obeying the Bible, when the truth was it was anything but. So how do we get through all this? Is spanking good, bad, biblical, not, sinful, holy for good Christian parents? I'll open my Bible really quickly to the book of Ephesians. It says this in chapter 4. In your anger, do not sin. Sometimes kids make you angry because kids are being rebellious. And I know that feeling as a father, especially when my kids were so little. You're so frustrated. They're just fighting your good God-given authority. That makes you angry. And this is a good warning. In your anger, do not sin. Don't discipline your child for their detriment instead of their benefit, just because you're mad about it. Don't let any punishment, any words that come out of you be a reaction, like sinning against your kid because they sinned against you first. These are good words for every parent. In your frustration, in your parenting anger, do not sin. In fact, in a section on Christian households, Paul says this to fathers, verse 4 of Ephesians 6, fathers, do not exasperate your children. It's a big word that means don't lead them to unnecessary frustration. As you raise them, disciple them, teach them, even discipline them, don't do it in such a way that's going to make them turn back in hard-hearted rebelliousness because you were harsh and cruel. If someone asked me, is corporal punishment a sin? I would say biblically, no. Is spanking always off the table? I would say biblically, no. But if you choose those moments, I pray that they are rare and that they are done in the spirit of these passages, not to exasperate a child, but as an effective tool to help them see their sin, not done in anger or rage, but in patience and love. This is where, if you're married, you two can pray, can talk it through, can tag out and tap out if you feel too frustrated to effectively discipline in that moment. We want to treat our children like God treats us. And God sometimes is stern and serious, and then he's filled with compassion and love. I pray that as we raise our children in the Lord, they sense the exact same things from us.
Hey, thanks for listening to Taboo Questions with me, Pastor Mike Novotny. You can find even more questions on timeofgrace.org/taboo questions and in my book entitled Taboo, Topics Christians Should Be Talking About But Don't. Just look for the link in the episode notes.